All right, good morning, y'all. We are live on the Falcons Podcast on Wednesday. We want to be live, not just on YouTube, but we'll go to Facebook too, and we'll hit X. So we got all the big three involved here as we get going, and we've got plenty to talk about today. It's nice having some actual, news again. Welcome in, y'all. This is the Falcons Podcast. The Atlanta Falcons are up in Indianapolis at the NFL Combine, and news has been breaking. We've got some good questions from the Atlanta media that went up after the Chicago Bears got to ask all of their questions to Ian Cunningham at the podium time. The Falcons reporters got some side time, so we actually got to learn a few things on there. So glad they were up there, and we're going to get into several of those things today. First off, I want to say hello to Nick. Nick, how are you doing today? Glad you're with us today.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Feeling pretty good. I've worked every day since February 9th, so I've been pretty busy. But last Saturday, I had my combined birthday / Valentine's Day gift to both of us, and we had like a couples massage. And I've only ever had 3 massages in my life, and every time I've had pretty weak-handed individuals, and I told this person that, and they beat the ever-loving hell out of me. And it felt good, but I'm like so sore after that. So I ruptured my bursa in my right shoulder like 3 years ago, and I have like jumper's knee in my left, but man, he went in my shoulders, and there was 4 people in the room because it was my wife and her masseuse as well. So
Challenge
I'm sitting there,
accepted.
Yeah, I'm like biting my tongue and like trying to go. I'm like Happy Gilmore trying to go to a happy place because I am just getting the crap beat out of me. But it was great.
Yeah, I don't do massages. I don't have that line between it tickles and it hurts. So I'm like, and my daughter's like that too. Now my wife, you can do. I can dig my elbows into her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that's great." I'm like, "Yeah, that hurts. I'm not into that." She likes the pain, not me. I'm not tough enough. So, but we want to get into some things, and first off, and then we're going to say some hellos because of the way I titled this. I wanted to be clear about what this meant. It says the Falcons nuke 1 QB option for 2026. Well, that's Kirk Cousins. Okay. Well, didn't you know all along that the Falcons were going to waive him? Yes, that was the whole idea of the restructure, was to free up some money before the start of the new year so they could do things like make sure that they franchise tag Kyle Pitts. They can renegotiate with some of their other free agents. They have to be cap compliant by the start of the new year. That did it in one move. However, because of the $75 million poison pill they put on the 13th, he was going to be waived by the 13th. We knew all that stuff and take on that dead money. It's like, oh, what a magnanimous move by Kirk Cousins to save all that money. He didn't save a dime, okay? But Ian Cunningham was asked about, is Kirk Cousins an option? Because we have left that on the table as a possibility. And he says, frankly, we won't re-sign Kirk. It was definitive. And this is in a time when nobody ever speaks definitively, ever, except me using never and ever on when discussing player personnel and stuff. So there is 0 chance, 0.110001% chance, never say never, that they're re-signing Kirk Cousins. So, and unfortunately, when you start looking at what the Falcons need, as far as a mid-tier, mid-priced veteran bridge guy, Kirk Cousins might be the best option on the market.
Yeah.
Ironically speaking, he might be the best, but that is off the table. And frankly, I think, Nick, he'll have a big enough market to get a $10+ million contract that the Falcons will get their $10 million back. And it will end up costing them a total of $90 million for 2 years instead of the 100. I think he'll get he'll have a big enough market that the difference between him and Russell Wilson, remember when that happened? Russell's number was like $35 million. No one was paying him that much money, so they only paid him like the veteran minimum, $2 million when he was at Pittsburgh, and that money went back to the Denver Broncos. Any money that Kirk Cousins gets this year up to 10 comes back to the Falcons. I think Kirk is still probably worth a little bit more than $10 million on the open market, and the Falcons should get 10 back.
Yeah, he's gone. It's inevitable, and I got a pretty good kick out of the side session with Ian Cunningham, where one of the reporters misconstrued a quote from Ian, where he asked him, talking about being fair to Mike, getting Kirk out of here and opening the pathway for Michael Penix. And then Ian's like, thank you for asking me this question. I need to clarify. Mike, as in Mike McCartney, Kirk Cousins' agent. We need to be fair to the agent and Kirk Cousins in giving him options to set him free and be able to go in the market, not Michael Penix. So that gave me a good laugh. Obviously, when you're just throwing first names around, especially Mike, I mean, it's got to be one of the most popular names. But that's why, you don't always want to assume, even if you're taking it verbatim from somebody, there might be a detail you're missing there. So talking about the agent, but yeah, Kirk's gone, and you're right, Scott. It is. If it wasn't for the contract and the history, like if there was a carbon copy Kirk Cousins out there, especially with his relationship with Stefanski, be like, oh yeah, bring him in 2 years. Yeah, he can help run and implement the offense. But alas, the last, situation here in Atlanta and the dynamics there make it rather untenable.
Yeah, and just real quick, y'all, Chrome did another update. Let me know on your end if I'm coming through clear. Nick says I'm getting a little choppy on his. I'll restart the browser again and change.
Am I not? Am I good? Am I not?
Yeah,
choppy?
You're good coming through, and so am I. I don't see it, but you might on your end. So let me know in the chat, y'all. Other than Grunt Alexander saying help me and please stop ignoring me. And I don't know what you want. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? But I do want to say hello to some folks after we got that, just right off the bat. Because I put it in the title, they nuke one option. Yeah, they did. Kirk Cousins is not going to be an Atlanta Falcon in 2027. 2026. It was a slim possibility. Fresh start. We don't need this drama in the building anymore. It was a slim possibility, but that has been nixed, so to speak. Denver Luke was first one in here this morning. Good morning, Scott, Nick, and happy Draft Wednesday. I guess it is Draft Wednesday. We need to blow through this so we can get a draft, a mock draft. And if we won't, we'll do one on Friday. Trenton, you missed Garrett twice this week. Lots of good for the good week for the birds. Coffee in hand. Yeah, I got a care package from Lion Coffee, and they put my favorite one. I was like, Patrick, my favorite one is that 10% Kona. That's the best stuff I've ever had. It's a little pricey, but it ends up being about 80 cents a cup, when you're making it at home. So that's not pricey. Oh, it's so good. That 10% Kona from Lion Coffee is so good. John, I know you're struggling. We're thinking about you. Bronchitis for your mom at the hospital can be a little scary as we get on in years. I know. I'm glad she wants home and wants breakfast. That is a good thing. And Halsey's going to offer up Captain Crunch or Lucky Charms. I think I've got at least one of those upstairs. So we're good. McDonald's sausage biscuit. Eddie, you're from a ways out. Good to see you again, Eddie. It feels like it's been a while. Evening from Vietnam. I won't use the, good morning Vietnam. It's too easy. Antonio, welcome in. Good to see you. Unbeatable, a new member. I'm not a new member, a current member. Terry also saying good morning. And John has a question, Nick. What would you say about Zach Wilson as being that guy? Because the question I had, we saw the Jason La Canfora report, the Falcons think, and again, talking with rival general managers. Well, let's see. We've got former Falcons coaches who were just fired, the broken up ex-pissed off girlfriends in San Francisco. We've got them in Baltimore. We've got them in Tampa. I think they're doing a little chirping out there about how bad it is with Penix. And my question is fine. Even if you take that at face value, so what? Who and how are the Falcons going to go after a long-term quarterback? People are throwing in names like, stopgaps. I'm like, like Zach Wilson. That's not an option as a long-term quarterback. You have to get, unless you get lottery ticket lucky, but as far as like an investment in a quarterback's not happening this year. Getting a quarterback, you're going to have to get at least one. You got Easton Stick and Michael Penix. You need at least one more quarterback. So you're going to be going after a guy for sure. Maybe you get lucky. What about Zach Wilson, Nick?
Supremely talented arm, can move around a good bit, throw off different angles. And he had that year of football rehab with Sean Payton out in Denver, and then spent the last year in Miami. And I thought, looked, they bypassed him with Quinn Ewers, but in preseason, you see the arm talent. So he's definitely worth a dice roll just because, it's like a penny stock at this point. You're not paying a lot to bring him in, and maybe he hits, but you're looking for a backup. Somebody mentioned Jacoby Brissett in the chat. Somebody that I've compared Michael Penix too, just as far as the, maybe a little bit of rigidity in the movement and needing to be a pocket quarterback with a big arm is Joe Flacco. I'm not sure what the relationship is with Joe Flacco at this point with Stefanski after the trade from Cleveland to Cincinnati. Maybe he has to go to the Steelers just to complete the AFC North tour. But that's I'd be interested in Joe Flacco too, just as a 1-year kind of guy coming in here if he is interested. I know that when Denver brought him in and drafted Drew Lock, he was pretty adamant about, he's not there to mentor Drew Lock. He's there to win football games, but that was,
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's an eon in football years. So the fact that he knows the offense, he'd be somebody who would interest me also. And I know Nick, you're advocating for Joe Flacco. It's like, well, we're talking about the quarterback options here. When you
who and how?
Yeah, what's available?
Yeah. Someone asked me about Anthony Richardson. What about a trade for Anthony Richardson? Using 2027 day 3 picks. I'm like, I'm not sure if that'd get it done. If you're the Colts, you might want to have him around for less than that. Anthony Richardson has several red flags. Yeah, he's an amazing specimen. But his red flags are all over the place. 1, he's been not very good. 2, his contract's guaranteed. So he's not exactly cheap in the 4th year of a number 4 overall pick. I think that's about right. He was number 4.
It was 4.
Number 4 overall. He's not cheap. Number 3, at least, you want to talk about injuries. He can't finish a game. I'm like, this guy should be a wide receiver. If you take Anthony Richardson and plug him into RAS, relative athletic score, and change his position to like edge, tight end, wide receiver, safety, he's like a 9.9 or better on all of them. I mean, he's an amazing athlete. He can't stay healthy. Another PR says,
a lot of sacks, which is a big issue for quarterback. That's one thing that tends to translate from the college game to the NFL game. You don't see guys all of a sudden turn around and be like, oh, I stopped taking sacks now.
Yeah, and maybe they release him, and you only have to sign him. And because that's what happened with Zach Wilson. I don't think he was paid much.
He was traded.
He was traded, and then he was released.
No, his contract expired.
Did it finally expire?
Yeah.
Because he was
4 year.
4 years? No, it didn't. Because
2021. It was a 4 year. They didn't pick up the 5th year option,
right? Which would have been he was in the same class as Kyle Pitts, so that would have been
2 years ago.
2023. 2024 would have been his 4th year.
So Denver traded for him on his 4th year option.
And he was on 2024. He was with the Broncos, not 2023. So on the Broncos. Yeah, you're right. And when I was arguing, I was kind of arguing with myself on that. I'm like, really? No, he wasn't. It wasn't.
It's already been that long.
Yeah, if I'm like sure, you'll know I'm sure.
Yeah.
If I'm sure about something, you'll know. Another PR says, tired of old retread quarterbacks. You might not have a lot of choice. I mean, you need a second quarterback. I don't. You might need a third. I want a veteran. I want a veteran to come in, and he's going to be a retread. And then, if you roll the dice on a draft pick, fine. But you're going to need a veteran to come into this team. He's not going to be a long-term option because, again, who and how on this when it comes in. Also want to say hello want to give a shout-out to Dalton Rogers. He's become our newest member. So thank you, Dalton, for joining the nest. And as I've mentioned, as soon as we hit 100, we're on the way. I'm going to do a jersey raffle of 100. I might do like groups of 10 and then knock it down to a final 4. We'll see how we'll pull that off. Once we get to 100, we'll figure it out and we'll raffle off a jersey for y'all. Because GCX Boy has been a member for a month. So thank you, my friend. He says, good morning, Nick and Falcons family. The new era is here. So that's to all y'all. So good morning from GATX. Now, learned a lot of things. Ian Cunningham at his introductory press conference kind of had this is just awesome. I'm just happy to be here. I'm so excited for this job. He seemed a little overwhelmed. The man was all business yesterday. And one of the things, talking about the draft philosophy, Nick, I actually have this playing on a loop. I go to sleep to this now. This is calming to me. So when asked about, philosophy, this is what Ian Cunningham had to say about his draft philosophy.
To use every method as humanly possible in order to manufacture picks. I'm not saying that there's a chance that we may end up with just 5, right? But I hope that that's not the case. And like I shared with our scouting staff last week, this is going to be the last year that we ever have 5 picks. Like I've said before, I love picks. That's going to be a part of our philosophy in order to have as many swings at the plate as we can.
Oh, did you hear that? It's like, there's a fiddle, a harp going on in the background with the Angels playing. I love picks. I want more picks. And speaking of definitive, that was another definitive thing that Ian Cunningham said. We won't re-sign Kirk. That was pretty definitive. This will be the last time we only have 5 picks. That's a veiled shot at the previous regime, who was really, really eager to trade 2 for 1, to trade up and give up picks. And it was frustrating because, again, more swings at the plate means a better chance of success for the most part. Now, as we also said, the final draft of Terry Fontenot's draft was solid. It was, especially Bowman can stay healthy, but Walker, and then, trading up, that was expensive to trade up a 5th to move up, 4 spots in the 3rd to get Xavier Watts. But are we complaining about that one? No, we're not. And Jalen Walker, I know James Pierce Jr., we'll see on that one. That was the other thing as far as definitive. He definitively would not talk about James Pierce Jr. on that one. But Nick, music to our ears. We love picks, more shots, more depth, more.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a fine line. You're not trading your first for 27th round picks. I'd rather have, the first round pick. But yeah, something we've been talking about for a bit. The good teams tend to understand that the draft is a inexact science. So you want to make sure you get a number of selections where you are swinging the bat more times, because it just increases your probability of finding not only hitting on players, but cost-controlled players as well, which, I mean, we're seeing, I think, Scott, it's kind of a downstream effect of the cap exploding. Free agency of now is not what it was 8 years ago, 10 years ago. I mean, it's a little bit of a wasteland where I think like the top 10 are, used to be the 20th guy going forward. You're just not seeing quality players, especially at positions of value, especially second contracts, hit the open market almost ever. I mean, these teams have cash available and they have the ability to manipulate the cap to make sure that any of those guys are never really hitting the market. So how do you have to build your roster? It's always been this, but it's even more so. Draft, develop, retain. So you want to have picks and options. And I was as soon as I heard him say that, Scott, I was like, okay, Scott's going to be happy. Like, we don't know what the results are going to be yet, but that's the process you want, at least saying the right things. We'll see what, in hindsight, what it comes to be. But
Stefanski doubled down on it too later on. And they did, because he said, you've only got 5 picks. And he jumped in. He interrupted. He goes, 5 picks for now.
Mm-hmm.
So all good. And the other one I think we learned was they're already playing the game as far as negotiations in the media, because they were asked about Caden Ellis. Now, Jeff Ulbrich said he's a huge player for us, important. Put that out there that we want him. But Ian Cunningham downplayed his re-signing. It says, we're evaluating, and there's a lot of linebackers in this market. We got to do what's right for us, basically on the and that was again publicly negotiating, as far as we're willing to move on from this. We're not going to overpay. We're going to do what's right for our salary cap on it. I want Caden Ellis back. I think he's an important player. I really like watching him play. Again, playing for the Atlanta Falcons historically has not been overly easy. The guys that come in and do it with joy, like Cordero Patterson. Cordero Patterson came in here and toiled for the Falcons with a megawatt smile, and I loved him for it. Caden Ellis is like that too. And they're good. They were good players. They were important players on top of that. That's number one, obviously. That I want him back. But again, I don't want to go 12, 13, $14 million for him either, Nick.
No. Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. Would love him back. He's a good player. I mean, we saw the defense and how it was utilized last season could really take a step forward. But, I mean, linebacker, tight end, there's guys available in free agency. So if you did want to turn over the room some, you do have that ability. So we'll see how it plays out, but I'd imagine they get something done unless Ellis, wants to go play with one of his brothers or something like that, but we'll see. And yeah, Sharelight brings up, I have two different co-hosts rotating behind me here. And right now I have my wife's cat, Queso, who is a big, long-haired domestic, who is very fluffy, and we have an automatic feeder that's next to me. So if I don't feed him before the show, he just yowls at me. So hopefully you don't ever hear him.
Yeah, I try to take a picture. It's like breakfast is at 7 on the weekends. So that means I've got a cat standing on me, staring at me at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Hi, Ninja. Welcome. He's already had his breakfast. He's sleeping on his bed over here. I actually read this wrong, GATX. So it's nice having Nick here so I can read it again while he's talking, because I read this as, did you see the comments that Ian Cunningham made that said it's Michael Penix Jr.'s job when he starts? That's what I read skimming through it. And I was like, no, he didn't. So the question actually is, do you think the comments made by Ian Cunningham yesterday states that when healthy, this is Michael Penix's job to start? No, I didn't get that. And I think, one, they're going to be trying to recruiting another quarterback in free agency. So they want to give the idea that there's going to be competition. Two, that's the big one. Two, they need a quarterback competition. But I think, they're excited about what they have. And what Stefanski said, which I like, was, I'm not big on giving out spots in February. This is a new team. Nothing is given. What's a given out there right now? Who is a surefire, I'm in the lineup guy? Jake Matthews, Chris Lindstrom, and Drake London. Jesse Bates might not even be here. Brandon Dorless, maybe. But it's going to have to be earned by everybody again. So I did like that comment. He's not Arthur Smith snarky. He's definitely not Raheem Morris, hey, how you doing? How's your family? Everybody's best friend. Somewhere kind of in between there, where he's got this little subtle, dry sense of humor. Said with Kirk gone and Michael Penix on the shelf right now, who's your quarterback? And he goes, what's the date? February. Yeah, we're okay. We'll get all that figured out. And I think the final thing that Ian Cunningham, one of his quotes that jumped out to me was, we are confident he's on track. Speaking of Michael Penix Jr. So I think it's his job when he's healthy. I don't expect them to say that in February before free agency and the draft. But if he's healthy, I think it's his job, because again, he's the guy that's going to be on the roster, Nick, that has the most upside. Flat out. He'll be the guy on the roster with the most upside. Play him and find out what you've got.
You got the years of control. You got the arm talent. When he's healthy, you want to get him out there. And like we've said many times, the reason talking about these older quarterbacks, next year is somewhat of a evaluation season. If you make the playoffs and you're ahead of schedule, that's fine and dandy, but nobody's personnel coaching jobs should really be on the line, at least at the top, based on next season, just because of where you're at roster-wise, the 5 picks, James Pierce situation, all the Michael Penix injury. So you need to find out what you have this season. And if he can't stay healthy out there, that's a big thing as well. Maurice comes in. If you had a choice between Willis, Jones, or Brissett, who would you choose? In a vacuum, I'm taking Willis, because I think he's got starter upside and he's a huge athlete with an incredible arm. But that's I don't really think you're in the position to be doing those moves right now with Kirk Cousins' dead cap hit. I don't think you have a relationship with Willis on the staff that I can think of. Brissett would make a lot of sense if you're trying to pair him with Michael Penix. That's the kind of quarterback where I'm shopping right now. 2 years. The backup quarterback market's pretty big. What would you say? Just top of my head, 16 million, 14 million. They're getting 7-8 per year. But it's kind of where you're at. And I saw it was a Bears rumor yesterday, Scott, but Tyson Bagent, following Ian Cunningham relationship, maybe the Falcons trade for him. I don't know if there's any legs to it, but I did see it out there, at least, with the Falcons not having a lot of picks. Maybe not. But honestly, what I'm looking for is trading down, getting more picks, like you mentioned, bringing in that 2-year contract vet, where it's a 1-and-1. So that last year is a option year. And then maybe drafting a toolsy backup guy. I think my toolsy backup of choice this cycle is Green from Arkansas, just because he's a big athlete with a good arm and take a shot on him. But I also, really high recruit didn't put it together, got injured early this season, but like has starting caliber tools. And again, you're talking day 3, like the odds of hitting a quarterback day 3 are not good. You have to understand that. Like, I'm not saying, oh, this guy's the savior, but like a dice roll, because the ROI is so high if you do hit, even if he's a backup. Drew Aller, just because he's still really young. And again, he's a big, strong athlete with a big arm. And if you even hit a backup quarterback day 3, we just talked about, that's $8 million per year that you're not spending for 4 years of control. So that's probably the direction I'm going right now with this room.
Hey, Maurice, appreciate you being a member and for the super. It's a huge help to the show. For me, I look at this, I go, Malik Willis is going to be too expensive and unproven. Jones is going to be too expensive, injured, and unproven as far as, you know, he did really well under Daboll to begin with, and then it fell off. And then I think Shane Steichen is still an underrated coach. I know they still haven't won there, which tells me a little bit about Anthony Richardson too. If Shane Steichen can't get you going, then we do have problems. So Brissett makes the most sense for this team based on cost. And the Willis one just kind of, we know the world is quarterback crazy. We know this, right? But Malik Willis as the number 1 available free agent from NFL Network right now is insane. That's insane to me. One, it might speak to what you're saying is how bad the free agents class has gotten, that he's number 1. But to me, it's like, it also just says how quarterback crazy people are. I'm like, okay, well, he must have been really, really good for the Packers last year. He made 1 start. He made 3 starts in 2 seasons in Green Bay. Guys, Michael Penix had, 3 starts that looked really good in 2024. And if he was a free agent, wouldn't he be the number 1 free agent? This is insane. Spot Rack says $11 million. That's fine with me. I think, okay, that sounds about right. And people are saying 30. You give this guy 30 guaranteed across 3 years, you're fired. You are fired.
It's the quarterback curse, though, Scott, or a conundrum. If you don't have the guy, you're fired too. So it's like, you have to have the guy, but you definitely can't pick the wrong guy. It just accelerates the firing.
If I draft him, though, at least I'm not wasting, $100 million. It's the free agency too. Like when the owners, rich people don't stay rich by flushing money down the toilet. Typically, Arthur Blank can do it, but they don't like just pissing money down the drain. Malik Willis, Daniel Jones is coming off an Achilles injury, and was he playing over his head? I don't know, but he's going to be in the 25 to 30 range. And then and Brissett is a solid, professional, competent quarterback who's going to be a third of that price, and you don't have to worry about any kind of long-term option.
Yeah.
So it's a much lower risk. Now, Malik Willis could turn out to be the next Randall Cunningham, but all the things that people are saying about him are the same things they were saying about him when he was drafted. Give Matt LaFleur some of that money. Give him a piece of that contract if he signs for $90 million. My God, no. I like Malik Willis. I don't $100 million like him. And frankly, Nick, here's a question for y'all in the chat too. You got 1 game to win. Kirk Cousins is going to be a free agent. You want Kirk Cousins behind center or Malik Willis?
I mean, I probably would rather take Malik Willis just because the upside is there.
Game, there is no upside. You got to win, or normally I say, I got to.
Yeah.
If you lose, I'm gonna. It's over.
Your nuts are
your mortgage is on the. Who do you want at quarterback? You want Kirk or do you want Malik?
Gosh, Scott, I'm so annoying because I could think of multiple situations. I need to know more factors. Like
there is no other factors. Who do you want at quarterback?
I'll take Kirk, but if I'm at a talent disadvantage, I'll take Malik Willis.
If I'm
at a talent advantage,
here's my point on this, though. And I'm not going to argue with whoever says one or the other. I'm not going to make that argument. The argument that I'm going to make is we're discussing Kirk Cousins against the number one available free agent. Does that make Kirk number two? It's insane. It's insanity. This league, the quarterback, the resources poured into the quarterback position for guys who aren't guys. It's insane.
I will say there is at least a mid-market that has emerged as of late. That didn't used to be the case. Kirk Cousins kind of part of the reason it didn't happen that way. But like Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, there's another quarterback contract as well. There actually has been this like mid-tier quarterback market emerge. So worth monitoring. Obviously, the Falcons aren't in that situation immediately, but something to keep an eye on going forward for this team. And I wouldn't be surprised at all. I mean, maybe they do talk to Daniel Jones. Maybe they talk to some other of these guys, but we'll see. Right now, it feels like
6 starts in his career, and he's
it's risky.
Agent. I mean, we've seen this happen before. 30 years ago, who was it? Matt Flynn.
Yeah,
comes in and plays. I don't think it was quite that long ago. It might have been. Once you break 40 years old, you lose a decade every time you think of something.
It would have been 2011, I believe.
Because he was the Russell Wilson thing, right?
Yes. Yep. I think it was 2011, 2012.
And there was a Detroit guy that was at least 30-something years ago who came in, and I think he had a couple snaps for Dan Marino at the Dolphins, and then Detroit paid him a ton of money or something. And it's like, but they don't learn. No. I mean, this is the number one free agent. He's got 6 starts. What has he done, really?
He looked really good, but also it's kind of the Matt LaFleur conversation too. Like LaFleur should have gotten flowers for how good they were able to change the offense to make Malik Willis look as good as he did. But I understand the enticement. I mean, he's got a top 5 arm. He's built like a running back, and he's still young. So it's that dreaded P word, Scott. And I'll have the question for you. You have a lot of quarterbacks coming in first round who are toolsy, traitsy, and you don't know. Would you rather blow the investment opportunity of the $30 million a year contract where you can get out of it in 2 years, or blow a top 10 pick? I mean,
I'd want Willis about right where he was drafted the first time. Third round. Third round. I
think he was 4th.
He might have gone 4th because Desmond went mid-third. I thought Malik went late 3rd. I got his page open. Why don't you just look at it, dummy? 3rd round, 86th overall. So late 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, he's talented and traitsy, and I totally understand a team doing it, and I'm happy that I'm not
Scott
in a situation.
Mitchell was his name.
Okay.
Scott Mitchell. And that was 40 years ago, I believe, Robert. That was a long time ago. I think he was Dan Marino's backup, came in and looked decent and got a crazy contract in free agency.
God bless him.
Gardner Minshew. I like Gardner Minshew as an option. That's what I'm looking at. Jacoby Brissett.
Joe Flacco screams to me. Like, that's under center. Stefanski knows the offense. I don't know what the relationship is after the trade. Mm-hmm. That's obviously going to be a big deal, but like somebody who can come in, he's not a threat long term. That's the one that's blinking red light for me. Just seems obvious.
For who?
Joe Flacco.
Oh yeah. That makes them. Yeah, it's Flacco, Brissett, Minshew. And people want to talk about reclamation projects, which is fine, but then let's not throw Michael Penix away. You know what I mean? It's like, don't tell me you're completely out on Michael Penix and you want Mac Jones. Yeah. Or I want Daniel Jones, or I want Zach Wilson, because those guys have all failed and fallen harder than Michael Penix has so far. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I don't know what Jameis Winston's contract is. Somebody in the chat just brought him up. He signed a 2-year deal. I think he's still under contract with the Giants, but Brissett also has a relationship with Stefanski, I believe. He was out there in Cleveland for a bit before going out to Arizona, I think. He's one of those guys. He's been around the league a bit. So yeah, I'd sign Winston, just tell the offensive line. I mean, Winston, I saw Sleeperbot, maybe whatever Twitter account was, like if aliens came down, who would you pick to be the ambassador for the human race to talk to them first? And it was Jameis Winston. I'm like, okay, we're here. And I see some people in the chat mention Stenson Bennett.
Yeah, there's a lot of grudges for Jameis getting a final touchdown instead of kneeling it out that in to make it like 50 points or something in Arthur Smith's last game. I didn't really even care. I was so disgusted with Arthur Smith at that point. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I really didn't.
No.
But yeah, the Ole treatment on that one. Let's get to Curtis. Curtis coming in with a super also. And thank you for being a member, my friend. He says, morning, Scott and Nick and Falcons Nation. That's all of y'all from Curtis. Ian pretty much gave away that they'll be targeting wide receiver, cornerback, and linebacker in the draft, and Caden going to free agency. He was very diplomatic. Like I said, is publicly negotiating. You know, you want to. I want it in their minds that, hey, we can go another direction. You know, that you're not a must-have. There's no such thing as a must-have player, and you're not it at linebacker. We're not going to overpay for non-premium positions, and that was something that he talked about a lot. Was premium position. Talking about wide receivers. It's a premium position. Cornerback. Going to have to get bigger. You know, what does he want? More. He wants more depth. What do you want out of this draft? More depth, more good players. Okay. Premium positions. They have to get a wide receiver. I know a lot of people will push back and say defensive tackle, and that's okay. I'm not, or, you know, even offensive tackle. That's fine. But for right now, the biggest need on this team for me, other than a healthy quarterback, is wide receiver. You go from Drake, and when Drake's out and you got David Sills as your number one, and they haven't said they're cutting Darnell Mooney, but I'm like, we're going to look at all that. We're going to do this. I'm like, just give me a call. We're going to watch the tape. Give me a call. I'll let you know. Cut Darnell Mooney. You go practice squad guys. It's untenable. You can't run your young quarterback out there and find out what he's got when you're throwing to Dylan Drummond and David Sills. No offense to those guys, but they're wide receivers 5, 6, and 7 on a roster. So wide receiver for me. I can't have David Sills being the guy who gets the most snaps at wide receiver if Drake London's out. Can't happen.
Yeah. Unfortunately, paying those guys is pretty hard. You know, Romeo Dobbs is going to get probably $15-20 million a year. Maybe there'll be some street free agents, some vets that can come in and won't be, you know, as expensive long term, but that's a room that you need to bring in. You need to sign a guy and draft a guy in there. But I mean, for me, Scott, I keep coming back to it. Even though it's fine, it needs to be the identity of the team, and that's probably the offensive line for this team. And long term, you talk about the older quarterback, maybe a new quarterback coming in next year. We don't know what's going on with McGarry. We also, I mean, Matthews has been awesome, but he's getting older. The offensive line needs to be the backbone of the offense for sure. Maybe even the organization. I think a little bit more defense.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham was an offensive lineman. Kevin Stefanski wants to beat you up. You know, that is kind of their identity.
And also, I think we talked about on the show before, Scott, the offensive line in Cleveland. I mean, obviously the main issue is Deshaun Watson, but the offensive line this year made anything that they were going to do impossible because they were so bad on the offensive line. You can't run the ball. You can't pass protect. It's always 3rd and long. You got a young quarterback who's just getting hit immediately. You can't dictate at all. And the Falcons offensive line isn't there right now, but it's one of those things. I'm very much a believer that, like, wide receiver, like, it has to be better, but I think it can be solved more immediate. When you invest in somebody, you can bring in somebody and it's like, okay, we've moved the room up.
Yeah.
Offensive line, especially at tackle, if you don't handle it a year before and it's a hole, it might already be a lost season.
I agree with that. I think especially the way, you know, kids are playing 7-on-7s year round, passing football, though they're doing the wide receivers. It's not a baking position for me now. I want my wide receivers. If I'm taking them in the top 50, I need them on the field. I want them on the field right away. 3rd round or above. If I'm taking a wide receiver 3rd round or above, I need them in the lineup. Not necessarily a number 1, but they need to be in the lineup and contributing. Lance has a great question and a great point on this. Sorry, Nick.
It's okay.
Coming in with a super, and he's a member also. Thank you, my friend. He says, if they did splurge on a Willis type or similar tier, does it change from an evaluation year to a now we should have expectations for the season? Yes, I do think that if I'm spending $100 million on a quarterback, it's time to win. I need to win. Now, it might be a little bit different with a Malik Willis type because if I give him a 5-year deal at $150 million, his cap hit in 2026 can be knocked down to 10. It could be knocked down to a number that isn't bad for 2026. as we integrate into the system, and he's young and I've got time. It's not like he's a 35-year-old guy coming off an Achilles injury that I'm giving a 2-year contract for $50 million. That guy needs to win right away.
Yeah.
So with a Willis type, but yes, if I'm making a big investment in a veteran, I need to win. I need to win right away. And this isn't, to me, he doesn't make this a win right now team because I don't know who the hell he is. He's got 6 starts in his career. 7, 6. Let me look at it again. 6. He started 6 games. No, number one. I could pick 50 guys on the team. On that 100 list. I'd rather have than what it's going to cost to get Malik Willis. It's a no-go for me, y'all. Not at what he's if he's going to be above $20 million. And even that, I still balk at that.
Yeah. I totally get it. I mean, talking a lot about Malik Willis, it's not happening. It just doesn't make sense where the team is at right now. You guys are bringing in a vet, maybe day 3 chance for somebody who maybe hits. I mean, you never know. If you like a guy, keep swinging because, again, a 4th-round pick compared to the cost return on investment, if that quarterback hits, I know it's a long shot, but again, that's why you want to have a lot of picks, Scott, so you can make those calculated long shot investments where if they do hit, they're very valuable. I do have to get out of here pretty soon, Scott. It is 7:20 my time. I did want to hit one more thing, though. Obviously, it was always going to happen from what we talked about. I think from what I've heard covering the Broncos and people I know that are legit in the organization / adjacent, they had eyes on Kyle Pitts. And like if he hits, we're going to be interested the market. And too talented, too young. I mean, too much upside. And the tag is not expensive at all. They're bringing him back. It was never really the question was, is it tag or can we get a deal done beforehand? And Cunningham talked about it in the sidebar conversation that given, they're new, the timeline wise, it always made sense for them to tag and then work on a long-term deal after that. So that doesn't mean it's going to happen, obviously, but now they have extended the window with almost no, I mean, again, it's, what is it? $15 million?
It's 16.1, I think is what it moved up to based on some of the,
I can't say it's not nothing deals. Because 16.1 would be life-changing for me.
But that's less than Darnell Mooney's cap number this year.
Yeah, exactly. Tight ends, I mean, they just don't get paid. I know Huck says Pitts was never going to Denver, period. All I'm telling you is that if he hit the open market, Denver was going to be interested. So they were monitoring the situation. So
and we know Hucklebuck is serious because he ends every sentence with a period and 2 exclamation points.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, there was interest because he's a talented player and he's young.
There was going to be interest, and it was going to cost you your number 1, and it still might. It still could be a tag and trade. Now I'm talking about, when we want to talk about how I'm negotiating publicly. Yeah, we want to sign him long term. We love him. That's also key for if you want him, you're going to have to pay for him.
Yep. But excited about that for you guys because he's still a really young, talented player. Ideally, you do pair him with a glass-eating Y. Maybe that's Charlie Warner, although Charlie Warner's physical profile, although he does have some good block, he can't really – his length is poor. He's a little bit better H-back move.
I think Charlie Warner's going to get cut. Save $5 million there. He's going to be a cap casualty.
Yep. And, yeah, Huckbuck, I appreciate you. All I was saying was that from the Denver perspective, I can't speak for Pitts, but from the Denver perspective, if he was available, they were going to be interested. But he wasn't. The last thing, Scott.
There's 3 players that would fit into Denver Broncos roster, round peg, round hold. Tyler Algier, Caden Ellis, Kyle Pitts. It's like they're the Falcons' strengths of non-premium positions where they've invested heavily.
Yeah.
Is fits the weaknesses of the Broncos teams.
Yeah. Last thing, because we kind of have talked about it a lot with Ian Cunningham. Also, I'm kind of pulling from his conversation about Kyle Pitts, but somebody asked him about the premium positions, wide receiver, and like getting ahead on contracts. He talked about, it was obviously surrounding talking about Drake London and getting ahead on those deals. He said we were like monitoring the market and everything. To me, it didn't sound like they were like close to getting a deal done or like it was a massive priority compared to getting through the draft and free agency and a Pitts contract. But come May, June, July, I think we are very much on the Drake London contract extension watch.
I hope they've got something in place before the draft because not at least in principle, hey, we're going to get this done. We feel good about getting a deal done. That at least that part. Otherwise, you need to move him. you need to trade him before the draft. And maybe you don't, because I can load up for 2027 draft picks. But if you want to get something for 2026, you would need to move now. But Nick, go ahead and get out of here, and I am going to do a mock draft with y'all. So
okay, and one more thing, Scott. Make sure you restart your browser, because I was having issues. The chat didn't say anything, but I was getting, when you pulled up the video of Cunningham talking, or was it Stefanski, whoever was talking, it really jumbled up there. So just so you're aware, chat, let them know too. Nobody said anything, but I was having issues. So appreciate everyone. Have a good one, and we will see you again next Wednesday. And enjoy the combine. Hopefully, everybody stays out.
Maurice, appreciate you coming in again. He says, "Yeah, I like going with the quarterbacks we've got. If they're not good, we have a top pick." Yeah, I don't see a quarterback in free agency or the draft that fixes this team. No, it's not a great draft for quarterbacks. It might not be 2022 bad. Of course, Malik Willis hits and Brock Purdy keeps going, then 2 really good quarterbacks is about right. If you get 2 franchise guys in a draft, it's a pretty good draft. I'm just not convinced that Malik Willis is a franchise guy. He's got 6 starts in 4 years. But again, if the Falcons fail, if Michael Penix fails this year, they're going to be a 4 or 5 win team, and they're going to be in the top 5 again. Top 5 to 8. And then they're in striking distance to get a quarterback. Hopefully, with the Falcons' luck, there'll be 3 quarterbacks and they'll be picking 4. And every team needs a quarterback. But yeah, I think it just, again, I'll ask the question, who and how? Oh, we need to get a quarterback. Who and how? Who? That's as hard a question as anything. Who are you going to get that is a long-term answer for this team that isn't a complete roll? I mean, there's risk in everybody, of course, but isn't a complete roll of the dice. Zach Wilson, come on. Tyson Bagent, he hasn't played at all. Malik Willis, he hasn't played at all. So, and then how? How are you going to acquire this person? You don't have a ton of money. Even if you wanted to go spend on an available guy, you don't have a ton of money. And you don't have a first-round draft pick this year. So you're going to go 2 years in a row. Do you think Ian Cunningham's going to go 2 years in a row without a first-round draft pick? I don't. Not from what he's been talking about. No way. So I just do not see it. I do not see it here. Let me see. Garrett Nuss. Jimmy says, "Ugh, man, don't say top 5 pick." Well, that's the thing. If this season fails, you will be in a position. Let me put it this way. If Michael Penix fails, you'll be in a position to take a quarterback in 2027. You aren't this year. So it's Michael Penix or bust for the most part in 2026. And that's okay. I think Michael Penix can play a little bit. We'll see. And if he doesn't, you're back in the market for a quarterback in 2027. It's last chance. Thoughts on Garrett Nussmeier in the 4th or 5th, 6th or 7th? I mean, I see him as like the number 3 quarterback. Really? I mean, I don't see a whole lot in him. I don't see, when we talk about upside, and again, it's the hardest position to evaluate on just in a practice type all-star setting, which is where I watch him. Because it takes a lot more than just the strong arm and the size. If I'm doing that, I'm looking at Taylor Green and going, "Oh my God, that guy's he's amazing." And then every Arkansas fan has come into the YouTube channel on his highlights that I put up from the Senior Bowl and said, "Yeah, he looks really pretty there, but when it comes down to it, he fails." I'm like, "Okay, that's bad." How do I judge a quarterback? My quarterback judging is, who do I want to give the ball to with 2 minutes left, down 4 points. That's how I judge a quarterback. The ultimate judge for him. So I didn't watch him a ton to see if he's got that, that it factor at LSU, but physically speaking, he doesn't do a whole lot. He doesn't do a whole lot for me. So let's see. Halsey says the last time they picked top 5, they almost went Justin Fields and Trey Lance. You get the feeling that they were completely out on Justin Fields because they had a chance to get him for cheap after Arthur Smith left. Justin Fields was available. Terry passed on him again, so I don't think that was one of the things. Jake Browning, Trenton, talking about the Cincinnati backup. the way Joe Burrow misses games, I don't think you're going to be able to get him for he's going to be expensive too. Bagent could be interesting. And I might be pronouncing his name wrong. I apologize. They like him, that they like Jarrett Stidham. Davis Mills from Norcross, he went to GAC. They probably don't want to give him up either right now. So it's tough. What do y'all think? You want to run through a mock draft here then? Just to hit that out. And Robert says, I want a quarterback that's accurate first. Again, it's kind of like baseball. The guys that are top in 90 when they're teenagers, they're going to get the accelerated path through the scholarships, through the rankings, through the draft, all that type of stuff. The guy's throwing 80 to 85 to 90, but getting outs, it might take him longer, but he'll get there eventually. That's what I love about baseball. There's so many opportunities in baseball that if you can put up numbers, you will continue to climb until you eventually get there. The tools are the shortcut: size, speed, the arm, all that type of stuff. But eventually a quarterback, you got to be able to move the ball. Frankly, at the Senior Bowl, the best guy at moving the ball was Diego Pavia. He's just 5'9". So I call that the enough factor. Diego's just not big enough. And he doesn't run like Doug Flutie. So I think that's tough. Let's go just for the hell of it. If y'all want to do we can do a Wednesday mock draft, even if it's not Nick here. We can bring this up. Share screen, entire screen. Make sure that y'all see this okay. We can bring this up and let me know if this is going okay. And Denver says, I try and get Cole Payton. I like Cole Payton. There's a toolsy guy, relatively inexperienced, only started 1 year at North Dakota State. Left-handed, thick, strong, pretty damn accurate in the setting that I watched him in. So I like Cole Payton. I think PFF still has him in the 200s and something. NFL mock draft database, I've seen him move up into the mid 100s. So he'd be either a fourth or a late day 2. He might be a third or fourth round guy when he comes out. Let's go. We can do some trades too. Enter draft, care for positional value. Yes. Draft for needs. We'll move that down some. And then we will hit enter. Trent says, Scott, while I have you, has Barrett out of Clemson fallen down the board? Most of the guys at Clemson have fallen down. Cade is the worst one. In August, Cade was being talked about as a number 1 overall pick. Cade Klubnik, their quarterback. Avian Terrell, I think, has held on to his first round grade. Peter Woods has fallen down. TJ Parker has fallen down some. And Barrett, is he the offensive tackle? I think he's still, they've got an OT that's still considered in that 20 to 40 range in there. Barrett Carter. I think he still has a chance to sneak into the first round on that one, Trenton. But let's hit start draft. I think we're ready to go here. And then I'll zoom in once we get started. We're not going to trade up, so we'll just go ahead and let that run. Let me zoom in some for y'all. It's already at 125. Make sure that's not too big. Colton Hood, corner. See the guy. I like to see the guys that go just before. Max Ianachor is somebody that we've taken before. And who are we talking about here as far as the Clemson guy? Zion Young is gone. That's somebody we've had our eyes on too. I'll hit offensive tackle here. Make sure that he's Kenyon Sadiq. The Broncos have their eyes on him. Let me see. Let me change this to offensive tackle. I don't remember his name. Blake Miller might be who you're talking about, AJ. That might be the tackle that you're talking about is Blake Miller. So he was considered a first rounder, and on here it says average draft position is 52. So that might be they've all fallen. They've all fallen down a little bit. They had a pretty poor year. Eli Stowers is pretty much off the board for us. I'm not a huge fan of LT in this spot. You got to earn the name LT anyway. To a Gen Xer, there's only one LT. I know. The millennials might think LaDainian Tomlinson, but to a Gen Xer, there's only one LT. And what's interesting is Blake Miller comes down here. There's nobody really in here that I'm absolutely in love with. Here's a wide receiver. One of our Bama fans came in after the fact and said, I love that pick. He's really underrated. But there's nobody in here. Maybe Keontae Scott at 50. And we have a trade offer for 78. I don't want to go all the way down to 78 on this one. That's a little too far for me with their next pick. I would probably go the need position here at corner, unless there's somebody I'm just absolutely in love with, and there's just not. If I could trade down, I'd love to be able to get the wide receiver. I do like Jeremy Bernard in this spot, but I'm going to go cornerback on this one. I'm going to go Keontae on this one. And I didn't really have a trade down option. This has been a spot where we've had some luck trading down, y'all. In the third, to picking up some extra, maybe fourth and fifth round picks, to pick up some extra third round picks. I can go down. The Dolphins are offering to move down 8 spots. The 49ers are at 92 and the Titans are at 101. So let's see about a trade down with the Dolphins. I might be just a little too zoomed in on this. Let me come back out just a notch so everybody can see that. 87 for 79. I'm probably not going to get 90 out of that. I didn't think so. I bet I can get 111. And just for the heck of it, I'll throw in 227. Not accepted. Well, let's take 227 off of there and offer a trade. Yeah, we got that one. So we moved down and we picked up another fourth. Moved down 8 spots and picked up a fourth. I'll take that all day. Now, starts getting a little interesting here. Chris Brazzell is a very talented wide receiver here. I kind of like that guy. K'Ron Crawford is toolsy. Jake Slaughter, I think, is underrated here at center at 77. He was first team All-SEC above of Connor Lew at Auburn. Florida didn't have a good year, but neither did Auburn. And then Auburn loses Connor Lew to an ACL injury, and he's still listed as the number one. I don't get, how does his stock go up after tearing an ACL? I don't get it. Jake Slaughter is good. This could be, if I went this direction with Jake, this would be a, the best prospect available type. But I like Chris Brazzell here as far as wide receivers go. What do y'all think on this? Kalen Rutledge, again, I would probably go. I know our Georgia Tech fan in here is going to be pissed that I'm going to pass up on him. But if I was going to go interior line, I'd go Jake Slaughter here. But I'm not in on Carson Beck at all. When I talk about how do I judge guys, 1, I don't think he's very toolsy. 2, I don't think he's very clutch either. I don't want Carson Beck. He'd be off my board completely. Antonio Williams is solid at wide receiver. He was considered a first-round guy that fell also. But for me, I would probably go, a center here or Brazzell. But I do like Brazzell here. And Denver Luke says, I love Brazzell, big body at 6'5". I do too. He's a little inconsistent, but I'm at pick 87 here. Is he better than David Sills? Yes, he is. Let's go with the receiver here. And I've got 5 trade options here. I'm picking twice in the next 2. I could trade down to 125. You know what? And it's Chicago. Let's see if we can. I'm picking again at 114. So let's see if we can get. They want to go 111. Well, I went 131 then too. Yes, thank you. I picked up 111. I picked up. You want 111? I want my pick back. So I took 125 and 131 back from them. And I'm picking again in one spot anyway. So I didn't really miss anything here. Branch, someone showed me this. I think Nick may have sent me this Branch kid at Georgia State. We're going to be hearing more for him. Yeah, we are. We're going to hear more from him. Let Us Pray Sports, Trenches, Puri, and Cunningham. Yep, they're there. Free agency is going to address those too. They need more depth at an offensive line, and I'll be really surprised if a defensive tackle doesn't get signed during free agency. So remember, all of this happens post-free agency. I want a wide receiver, a corner, a linebacker, and a defensive tackle in free agency. I want at least 4 guys, and I want them coming. I want one of each of those. As we come down here, though, we're getting more trades. I don't want to spend all day trading. We could do that. We've picked up some extra players. Look, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 picks left to go. Tyreek Sapp is an edge rusher with some upside. Bigger guy. I don't mind going that way at all. Brian Parker, I'm not there. Bud Clark, no, my guy for safety, remember, was the Oregon State guy. And he's ranked down in the 300s. We'll steal him at 231 just for the heck of it. Need the running back. This is a guy that Nick has been talking about, a big guy. I believe he's got some size to him. 6 foot 224. Not overly productive, but I think they had some other stuff going on too at Penn State, and I believe he wasn't the only one there. So this is the guy, the running back. We're going to need a running back coming out of this cycle also to replace Algier. J.C. Davis isn't a bad tackle. Austin Barber's not a bad tackle. We could go tackle here. I didn't see defensive tackle in this range, and we're picking again at 114. How about offensive tackle? Could y'all live with an offensive tackle in this spot? Developmental guy. I think Austin Barber's solid. He might be a right tackle option. Fills in for McGarry next year. Swing tackle this year. Comes in, and J.C. Davis wasn't bad. He really wasn't. Let me see. I've got my Senior Bowl stuff up. Let me see. Looking at offensive tackles, Austin Barber was 6'6.5", 34-inch arms. J.C. Davis came in at 6'4", 335. Bigger dude. He might kick inside. So for tackle, let's go Austin Barber on here. We traded down some. Let's try and see if we can get a little lucky here. I like him. Get a little lucky here as far as what we're working on here. Defensive tackle, Chris McClellan's okay. I don't know much about this corner. Isaiah World at tackle. Grayson Halton. That might be our defensive lineman. He's I've got some video on him. 6'2", 292, just a little bit light. But we're also day 3 here. We're in the 4th round. He can play. Let's go with a defensive tackle here, and I like Grayson. We're at 131 again. We have a pick of a lot of the same guys. Did I take the running back? I haven't taken a running back yet. All right. Jaden Ott at running back is the kid from Arkansas still available? Mike Washington's available at 159. That's not a bad way to go either. They need to update this. We don't need a tight end anymore. Not high anyway. Not as our number 2 option for sure. AJ says he likes Isaiah World. Could be interesting. I don't mind doubling up at tackle when you're trading down. That's one of the benefits of trading down and getting more picks. Get them both. More everything, right? Keyshawn Elliott, Arizona State. This is one of our viewers. I think they're related. Someone hit me up on X. Said, how did he look? He looked pretty good, actually. He's listed 6'2", 235. Not bad there. Cade Klubnik, a former number 1, Drew Allar. Wouldn't be the worst time in the world to try and take one of those guys either. And I don't have, as soon as we need a burner at wide receiver, I don't know who those guys are yet. Post-combine, we'll take a look and we'll sort by 40s and see who those are. But I'm not afraid of doubling up at tackle if we went this direction. Like I said, that's one of the benefits. 6'8", 318. Where is Markel? Where does Markel Bell come in? I put video up on him. The dude's a monster. He's 6'9", 360, and could put on another 20 pounds in his lower body. He may have already gone. Yeah, he must have. I think he's moving up. He should be right in this area, though. So Markel Bell, he must have gone already. Yeah, and Robert, quarterback here, possible. We could go a lot of different ways. Again, when I'm at pick 131, I just want to get a good player. So it's not necessarily about the position as much as who can I get here. And I'm not afraid to go tackle. I like the running back. I like the kid from Markel Bell at 102. Thanks, AJ. That's about right for him. He's a project. Markel Bell went 102. Check out his video. I mean, he's too high, obviously, in run blocking because he's 6'9", and he's not overly flexible. He's not Spencer Brown flexible. When Spencer Brown would get down in his stance, he'd disappear behind the guard at 6'8". The flexibility on him was amazing. Markel's not that flexible, but when you run left, all he has to do, he stands up and he just blocks guys just with a sheer mass. He seals an edge just by turning and getting in position. And in pass blocking, as soon as he gets his hands on somebody, it's over. The rep was over. Linebacker, maybe. Keyshawn's a top guy here at linebacker. So I think we'll go linebacker here, Robert. I think that's not a bad idea. We're going to need one for sure. And we're about out of picks now. Who we got here that's still left? Jeremiah Wright. There's a nasty offensive lineman, interior offensive lineman. Again, now we're just looking for players who can play. I don't know a lot of these guys. J. Michael Sturdivant, he's not a bad wide receiver. Transfer at Florida of guys that I've watched. I don't know a lot of these guys. It wouldn't be the worst time in the world to go get. We didn't take the quarterback, right? Let's get our developmental quarterback. We got Taylon Green, Sawyer Robinson, Hayes. Cole Payton is still the guy out of these guys I like. My Georgia Tech guy, I don't know how good Haynes King is. Didn't watch him a ton. Didn't their quarterback transfer to Florida? Confused. So I'm out on Sawyer Robinson. Luke is solid. He's competent. Not a ton of upside there. Taylon is not competent. Huge upside. So if I could marry these two guys, that'd be your quarterback. He'd be going in the fourth in the first round. I still like Cole Payton. They're going to hate us for this, but I'm going to take him anyway. And then let's see if my safety's there. And they're going to hate that pick too. The kid from Oregon State is really, really good. He was way down here. If he's even on the list, he's not even on the list. Unless he finally got moved up. Iowa special teams ace, return man. Is he still on the board? What do we need here? We didn't take a running back yet, right? Let's finish with the top running back on the board. Virginia Tech. We need to come out of this with a running back. Don't need to, but it'd be nice. Let's go with the top running back on the board. Finish this off. We're going to get killed for a couple of those picks. I don't care. Grading your draft. You suck at this. I'm not taking a tight end. We're getting knocked for taking an offensive tackle and still a tight end. Falcons fans, what do you think about that? Do you think we should lose points for drafting an offensive tackle instead of a tight end? Cornerback, we traded down. Austin Barber, you should have taken a tight end there. No. We went corner, wide receiver. Then we went trenches, front seven, quarterback, running back, B+. So we'll do this again on Friday with the members, and we'll also talk about some of the news that happens out of the NFL Combine, some more reactions, anything else that happens, and on Friday. But I want to say special thanks to our Super Chat superstars who came in, and a thank you to GATX, who's been here for a month. Maurice came in a couple times, Curtis and Lance for sure. And then again, a special shout out to our newest member, Dalton Rogers. So I don't think we picked up anybody today or I'd shout you out, but if you sign up, I'll shout you out next time. So give us a try. We haven't been losing members. People that have been signing up have been staying. That's for sure. So, and Robert says, you never go wrong when you pick in the trenches. The only problem with that philosophy, because listen, I'm with you. Trenches. But I try and sort the voices in my head and have these arguments, beforehand. The only argument against this philosophy is that if you miss on a lineman, they can't help you anywhere else. Like, my running back can play special teams. Skill players can play special teams. They can be gunners. They can do other things. Most of the time, they can line up and do pass pro on field goal block, but that's not really anything. That's anybody can do that. That's just the body for the most part. If I miss on a lineman, they're not really helping me anyplace else. That's the only argument against that. Otherwise, I agree. Load up on the trenches and work from there. If I can win the trenches, I'm usually going to win the game on that one. So it says Keontae, Lance says Keontae's like 25 years old, so I'd avoid. If he's good, he's good though. I mean, look at the free agents. You know, if I can get 4 years of his prime from 25 to 28 years old, 25, 26, 27, 28, 4 years of his prime on a second year on a number 2 pick with a second round pick, I'll take it. I mean, these guys want to throw $100 million at Malik Willis, who's 27. So I would take that. Would you trade a second rounder for 4 cheap years of a good corner? Yeah, you would. You absolutely would. So think of it that way. If he can play, he can play. Now, if I don't like him now, there's not much development there, and that's going to be a really good argument against it. If I don't like him now, I'm never going to like him. So something to think about on the way out. Y'all, I'm going to get out of here. Enjoy some outside today. It's supposed to warm up into 60 or so today. Got a little bit more baseball. Johns Creek at Roswell. That's where I'll be this evening, and I will be back. You know, I'm here in the saddle. But I'll be back for the members on Friday. Garrett will be back on Thursday, I believe, talking some NFL Combine because it's already Wednesday. And we are one day closer to the new league year, one day closer to free agency, one day closer to OTAs. I'm going to get out of here. Appreciate removing myself from the stream as I tried to do this button instead. And y'all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for being here, y'all.